closer to you, right?
No, that's fine.
No, if you don't mind. We used to be this close. We've slept closer before, bro. It's hard when you don't pick up my phone calls too, mate. Like, we have to catch you up through Teams meetings. That's what it is,
That was
man.
funny, actually, on Thursday when I saw a meeting invite come through.
We had to.
I was like, damn, that's the first time we've had to schedule a meeting to talk to each other.
Things change, bro, as they say,
Things change, people change.
Sometimes you work out who your true friends are. Like, I've got to book some time in with my real mates, apparently. That's what it is.
I realise this is the first podcast, we did have a crack for a bit. It's the first one we're doing live.
What do you mean live?
Like, we haven't done one face-to-face.
Oh, actually, right.
Ever.
It's all been through the Zoom.
Virtual Zoom, because it was during the pandemic and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we've come a long way.
Come through a journey, number
Still
of
going,
rebrands.
What are you talking? We're talking now 2 years we've been doing this. That's good. Progressing.
Early to the game.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
Bar 2030.
Yeah.
When we did that thing at Utilising, asked the guys last week, what were your feelings driving in to Utilising? You're about to park the car.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? Were you feeling excited to see everyone, but also were you like, is everyone going to have buy-in? Yeah. Did you care if everyone had buy-in?
I think a bit of all. Obviously, it was good I think it's been a while since we actually all got together. It was probably post all the New Year's and everything like that. So I was looking forward to getting together, everyone having a good little chat and a few drinks. But also just getting everyone on the same page on what we're doing with Banjo Enterprises. Obviously, we started as we see a lot of things, you get there and you get excited, you want to do things, and then it fizzles out a little bit. So I think we've all had different conversations to be like, okay, well, what do you want to do? So it was good to try and think where everyone's head's going to be, and everyone is committed face to face when you eyeball everyone too as well. So I think that's what I was looking and most keen to get the most kind of takeaway from that meeting, just to make sure that everyone understands, but also just get the clarity of the cadence and how we're going to run this. As for me, it's making sure that people are responsible and get it done, and not have too many people having so much input that nothing gets done. I think that was just kind of getting the air clear over there. That was my key thing that I wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with.
What's the one thing that didn't work? Because you were saying that
throughout the course, I think
too many opinions, too many inputs.
Too many opinions, too many ways of signing off, and I think there were certain parts we've all got different strengths, and there's certain people who go, okay, well, this is what I think we're going to go with, and just get it done. Whereas then you had to go and try talk to other people, convince, and I think everyone felt obligated to give an opinion. Therefore, it just kind of then got stuck in the process.
Yeah.
We're not a big corporation. We didn't need to have so much I'd say red tape to get through, and then also delegate people who had certain responsibilities. People are busy in individual lives, and when you leave it with 1 or 2 people and then give the other 10 people decision making rights, it's going to slow the whole process down. And myself, I was busy too, and I didn't put too much time towards it. So I think it was just kind of good to get everyone back in to go, okay, if we delegate individual accountability, that means you're responsible for end to end. Therefore, I think things will move a lot quicker.
I love that, at the end we did that question, if there's a $10 million or $1 million decision to be made at the end of that period, 8-year period, and you haven't done much, are you happy to have the group make a decision? And 100% voted yes, so that was a good indicator, and it was anonymous as well, so it's not like we could have been pressured to. It would actually been interesting if someone said no, because that would have been like, how do you weed out the.
But that goes back to the reason why we did this. We all trust each other 100%, and I think sometimes what doesn't work is when things work without having guidelines and stuff like that. Things are going to go smooth. When you when you try and force guidelines into something or structure something that doesn't work, especially with that group, then you're going to have stumbling blocks along the way. And I think that's where it just kind of goes to the testament as to why we did this in the first place, because we trust each other 100%. And if we just give each other responsibilities and trust someone with the decision making, at the end we're also going to not change our opinions in that sense too as well. So And I'd be the same thing too if I didn't do anything, or if, say, my part didn't progress and I'm like, oh, shit, I did really bad here. Happy to someone else make the call on here. Because we're still committed to the whole 2030 roadmap. So it's not like we're putting things in that we're willing to also lose at the same time, but it's also we're doing something with a potential huge upside if we get it right too as well. Yeah, that's right. So
another good advantage that came out of that day was the whole values and attributes thing.
Yeah.
So the 3, like we all did a vote, the 3 that came up: men of our word, respect each other, respect yourself, respect each other, respect the goal, and commitment and dedication to 2030, like that end goal.
Yeah.
Which one of those do you think is most important?
What was the second one that you said again?
Respect. Men of our word, respect,
yeah.
and commitment to the end goal.
It's funny, all 3 are very important, but I think respect is key to all of them. I think we all respect each other's inputs, each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, and we all kind of go together with that one. I think that's the key one for me. It's getting, having that respect to make sure that all our attributes also work in alignment too. And men of our word, again, that goes down to everyone taking their individual responsibility on it. So
I was actually talking to someone like a friend from church, and this guy thinks a lot. Not that that's a bad thing, but he said he was going to talk to his siblings because they're all now older.
Yeah. And
he was going to be like, what are your expectations of me as a brother, and same with his parents? I thought it's actually a cool question, because a lot of times, like, we have this expectation of others. Like, I'll tell you a small example with me. Like, I'll try and make as much effort as I can with everyone, right? But when sometimes that's not reciprocated, you put unfair expectations on others. And actually hearing that in an open setting with each other for particularly something like this is really good, because you can set expectations where you have a common ground.
Yeah.
And if there's stuff that we actually don't care about, then at least we're not, all going home and sulking about it. Well, that these are your 3 core things that you can stick towards.
It's interesting. That's such a pretty simple concept. They just literally asking, even in the family setting, asking what's the expectation. Because sometimes we assume our own responsibilities as well.
Yeah.
And assume people expect this of me. But sometimes if you just ask clearly, it may not be as high pressure to yourself as you may think.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. I was actually thinking of doing that with my parents too. Because as you grow up, like, your role changes as well. Like, you're still a kid to your parents, but like, you feel like you need to be there for everything. But sometimes all your parents need is like time, as an example.
Yeah.
And they want to see you once a week. And that's such a small thing that you can take everything else out.
Yeah.
You can just put that into your like little life.
I should go and ask my dad the same thing too.
Yeah.
Gonna get a bigger list. Gonna get a bigger list of responsibilities. Or get confronted with some realities here. Like I said, I think even culturally for us, that as being the son as well, like the only son, you start assuming certain responsibilities and all that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, your parents probably don't want that anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Now that my son's probably more important to them than anything.
Yeah.
So I keep going down the lower of the pecking order. So I'm sitting there going, guys, why I'm so responsible? Like, shut up. I should ask my dad what he wants.
We don't have friend Hubert here today because Hubert's not feeling great after standing in the sun.
Jason Gillespie.
Yeah.
Dizzy.
Dizzy.
That's an inside joke. People might not get that yet.
But Hubert's away today, and he's our CFO.
Yeah.
We've got an update from our last. We've obviously gone up a grand, but what are we at now?
We're 8K. We're
yep.
sitting 8K, which is quite good actually. If you think about it, it's a really good little bank balance there. Considering it's since probably
just over half a year.
Just over
like
half.
8 months.
Yeah, 8 months or so. 8 months pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty good actually. I think it's a good starting point now, and it was really good to actually see that number, because what we see is what we put in on the monthly basis, and what we know, what we talk about the whole time, nothing happens. But now you go, actually, you know what, we've actually got a bank balance that we could do a lot of things with, even start a few things off. So I think that was a good little energy setter as well, to be like, all right guys, we've got 8K in the bank. That's probably more than what we've kind of had as a group kitty for a long time, and what we can do now. So that's a little next inspirational step to go, okay,
Yeah.
let's take this a little bit more seriously and know the potential we've got.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah. What's the you're leading up this investment stream?
Yeah.
What are your goals?
Yeah, the way I looked at it too, obviously.
How are you gonna make us rich?
Yeah, here we go. Dogecoin. No, so the way I looked at it is, I think we started 2022, we're going up to 2030. Well, obviously you can put in X amount per month.
Yeah.
We'll have a big balance, but if you anchor it into one or two decisions, you're not gonna be hedging your bets here. So I was going, look, if we were to do things, take a more of a conservative approach, as well as allowing us to have some bank balances to take more speculative things, and then do like more kind of investments on the media side of stuff that we're doing as well. I think that's a good way of knowing that at least a certain portion of our funds is going to be safe until 2030, with the potential upside and potential downsides too. But at the same time, it's not going to be lose all, right? So because you put that in sports bet, you lose it all, or you double up sometimes. So I was saying, I think if we split our portfolio up a little bit and I propose 50% of it up front now, because obviously we've got a few things that we may not do straight away, but at least 50% starting to work for us a little bit. So I propose that we put 50% of our contributions into like the index funds, and just take the safe approach. You do your historic little indexes in the ASX or even the NASDAQ, and go, look, we do this for the next 8 years or so. And I looked at it too, we can actually come away with about 80k on that one if we needed to. And I think I said that it's a conservative approach, 80k. By the time we're 2030, I think that's a good hedge, because then the other half that we're spending money on could be invested in things that could be like, bringing higher returns and stuff. So what I said is, I'll take responsibility of that. It's low effort in terms of we already decided where we're going to put it. They're all long-term kind of investment pockets, and we can see the progress and grow over time. I think you ideally would want to have a longer term on it, but we never know. We make it to 2030 and decide we'd go another 2 or 3 years or whatever it is, and we'll see what that looks like. So I think that was a good short to medium approach. It protects our overall investments, and then I think it provides a good little buffer on if we were in a position to buy or not. So I think that's where I wanted to take it, and that also just means that something is happening in the background. As we may or may not, we are going to get busy. We're going to have more kids. People are going to get get it first. No, like we're all going to still be growing. So I think there'll be times where we may not be able to focus on other aspects, but so that money doesn't sit in the bank doing nothing, as long as it's still ticking over. And also the way I've seen it too, like I think the next couple of years is a good opportunity to buy into certain positions. And I think we can ride a good wave in the last 3 to 4 years leading up to 2030 if we get some good positions. So I don't expect things to be returning in the next couple of years or so, or we're holding flat. But I do see that we'll start seeing some good compounded growth coming towards the 2030, which could also mean like if the other things do well, we could buy and have this funding in the background to continue, get the bar up and running as well. So that was my view, to take on a conservative approach. And then the other two things that we're doing is, one portion is also very high risk, which is sports bets, which is probably our most profitable situation right now, thanks to Mr. Jonathan Nisi. And the other ones are, entrepreneurial kind of approaches too. So we never know what happens out of that.
That's right. I remember when you and Jazz were talking at Wenty about birds and stuff during the meeting. I zoned out, but I had the stonks meme, come up in my head. But I didn't understand what you guys are. But I think that's the attitude of the group. For those of us who don't understand it, we're just like happy for you guys to do what you think is best. Which I think is a good approach.
It's definitely tapping into the biggest advantage that we have in this group is the diverse skill sets and thinking. I think that's what you got to do. Your portfolio has actually got to reflect diversity of this group as well. In the sense that we've all got different skills that we can take advantage of. So like Jazzy's into it. Jazzy's, he knows everything with his 48 degrees that he's got. So it's good for me as well. I'm sitting there going, well, this is what my approach is, and it's a very conservative approach. But he's also got the knowledge, and he's done all that too. It's also, we can always bounce things off each other.
Talk about a safe bet. Park Cricket.
100% mate.
So what was it, 2020? We sat down together. We thought this would be a good idea. Did all the hard work. Take us through. Actually, let's chat about it. Firstly, we watched the first episode, the fifth and final episode, 2 days ago. What were your feelings watching that in terms of how far this has come from like a little blip of an idea?
Well, at the time I was watching, it was actually 1:30 in the morning because I was trying to put my son to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I was a bit tired too, but I started watching it, so I was more awake now too, and he's watching it too. So like, I was looking back and reflecting. I think, obviously, it's taken a good couple of years. So that 2020, we were trying a whole bunch of things, which is rightfully we should have. And then you go, well, that's one of the pocket of journeys that we started. And one of those videos actually came up in that episode 5 was when we were in your lounge room.
Yeah.
And I was telling Varshini about, look, actually, this is the first meeting we actually had with the group.
Yeah.
It was actually really good to see right at the end when we're doing all the interviews and stuff and going, actually, we've come a long way. And it took a while.
Yeah.
It took a good 2 to 3 years. But now you're seeing the final product. And the product's actually, I'm really happy with the editing that we've done. And we see actually that progress from the first episode to the 5th episode. And you sit there and you go, this is actually a really good package. And then the other part I connected back to was we watched the first episode of the Amazon Prime test for the Australian one.
Yeah.
And that was really good too. Like, this is something that we talked about, but also let's just try and do similar kind of structures and bring it down to grassroots and amateur level, which is the everyday cricketer. Yeah. And then when I watched the second one of the test, and then looking back and the journey that we went on, it was actually, you kind of go, this is what we did too, that's what we did too. We tried to get the same kind of pockets. We were pretty much on the right track with your most minimalistic budget. Yeah. And, 1 or 2 cameras. We had 1 camera, we progressed to like 3 or 4 with GoPros and everything like that. And you go, even the storyboarding and the interviews that we did and all, I could sit there and be like, it was really good to say the Amazon testing too was structured very similarly. So we weren't that too far off the mark. Yeah. For a good passion project. And now we've got a little piece of package, 5 episodes, which we followed pretty closely and kind of made sure it hits the mark in every topic. Was really good. I'm really looking forward to it. And the last episode is really good. It created the bow and the whole thing. It just kind of brought it back to the reason we did it, and everything. It wasn't just about the season anymore. It wasn't just about cricket stats and all that kind of stuff. It was actually about the reason why we did it. Yeah. And as we said before, I think even nothing comes out of it. It's just a great thing to have to look back on.
For our kids to look back. And for us to look back when we're 70 and can't move. Yeah.
And understand why Uncle Kev doesn't talk to Uncle Dill right now. Because of his poor fielding positionings.
It's been cool actually going through the emotions of the journey throughout the last 3 years. Like, even getting all the stuff uploaded and then waiting for like that first edit. Anticipating that first edit and seeing it. I don't know about you, but like I was pretty deflated after watching that first edit or first episode. I think like it was a great edit, but it just lacked the emotion. Yeah. And so, kind of have to go through the emotions and be like, this is kind of, maybe this is what it is because this is the type of quality we had. But then the next couple of episodes were really good. Yeah. And we're like, okay, there's actually a lot more emotion coming out. But then the time it took us to get through those episodes has deflated all that energy again. But now in the last couple of weeks, we've managed to have a bit of traction to push out the last episode. We actually have a full product now that we can take out to people. So it's cool going through those emotions. And even though it's taken 3 years,
We'll go back to what you just said earlier. Like, what's the expectations of? Yeah. You got to ask yourself that question, right? We got to go back and go, we had nothing. Yeah. But we did a whole year of just recording content and we're seeing it through phones and cameras and everything. So we didn't know what the package looked like. And the first thing you're sitting there thinking end goal, right? Yeah. You see the first one, you're like, it's good. It's all concise, but it's also not to that level. It's just more like park videos and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah. But then as it progressed, but that's the journey we had to do because we're not sitting on a media production budget.
That's right.
And now we're here. Yeah. 2-3 years later. And it's funny, you look back 2-3 years going, would we have sat there and gone, let's see what it looks like in 3 years? We wanted to end of the season, right?
That's right.
Launch straight away. Yeah. But it's a good learning curves to understand that these things take time. Yeah.
Approach at the moment, what are we trying to do? We're trying to basically talk to as many people as we can and get it out there. Spoke to I won't say who, but a person that was senior enough in the whole test documentary.
He's not telling me because we're not that close anymore.
I told you it was, bro.
Sorry, mate. Must be the wrong noodle under here.
No, I just want to throw his name out to all followers would start tagging him in Twitter posts, and all of a sudden. Anyway, spoke to him, tried to get a couple of insights, and told him about the concept that we're trying to do, and he was like, "This is exactly what Cricket Australia are trying to target."
Yeah.
There's a whole diversity piece as well, but there's a lot of grassroots cricket that's really important to the culture of cricket being built in Australia. So that was good to have that sounded out with him, but also he threw a lot of suggestions around how they built it and how they tried to make people comfortable in front of the camera. And it was really cool actually talking to him, because they obviously have a relationship with the players that we just see on TV and we idolize on TV as well. What else can we do? What's our approach? What's our best case in your view? What will you accept? And what's our worst case?
Yeah, again, it's been 2 or 3 years now from when we first started, right? So our first approach was making this a big brand where you can then go out and just bring other teams into it as well, because that's our story.
Yeah.
But there's so many more different stories and different types of stories too. Like you've got like the kids, and you got there's women's group teams and all that kind of stuff too. So I think our first approach is going, if we were to make this a brand, so Park Cricket to be a brand itself, because no matter if you're an international superstar or legend of the game, you're always a Park Cricketer at the starting point. So I think creating that collection of people to be associated with a Park Cricket as a brand, I think that's the end goal. And then having those media branches that to be like, okay, if we were to then create as part of the brand pockets of different stories every season, you may have 2 or 3 seasons running. It could be some in the Northern Territory, it could be some in Victoria, it could be a girls team trying to make through from going from teenagers to whatever, or something like that. And you never know, within it you could find potential upcoming international players, and you follow little journeys so people can actually start relating to the actual people they play with, and see that you can progress. And I think that's for me is probably the best case. Get there, be recognized as a brand, even be able to plug in with all the other brands associated with Park Cricket or District Cricket and stuff like that. And then go from there. Obviously having all this content and having these kind of series or seasons housed somewhere on Amazon Prime, could be on KO as part of a collection or something like that.
Following different teams. That Fiji one actually, that'd be cool as well. Tell that story of different cultures, because really ultimately you're trying to get as many we've kind of articulated a purpose and aim, but you want to show that grassroots cricket is great and get people to firstly be interested in it, but also participate and follow it. It'll be such a cool use case, right? If you go to that Fijian island, do a documentary on that, bring it back here, and some local Fijian kid who only ever plays rugby league looks at that and it's actually, cricket is for me too. I'd love to play cricket. Yeah.
No, 100% too. For me, that's probably one of my best experiences playing cricket. Going there and doing it, and actually seeing that there's blokes on random islands who are actually really good. And then bringing that story out and stuff as well. So I'm sure people have done the same thing in other different areas too. Bringing those stories out to go cricket is just beyond your summer and in Western Sydney in Australia, or somewhere else or whatever it is. It's all different people from different backgrounds can play and they do really well. And then using that to promote the game a lot more, and trying to grow the community within itself, and also grow the participation within cricket too. I think that's again the end goal too, because I want my kids to play cricket. And showing them this as well, show that it's part of camaraderie and all that stuff too. It's not just what you see on TV. It's not just the IPL or Big Bash. It's more to that. So you know what I mean? Because we grew up that way. So
that's right.
We would sit there, look forward to Saturday cricket. That was our world. It's just trying to show and bring out the different stories.
How does this, I guess what we're trying to do as well, build this brand, ultimately you leverage this brand as well to help us drive towards that bar 2030 goal, right? So as much as we can do with it from now until 2030 and even beyond, that'd be awesome if we could do that, and obviously monetize it in some way downstream as well. But it's all been because it's a personal project and it's like yourself and myself putting in funds at the moment. I think it'll be good to elevate it to the next stage.
No, 100%. Like, where we are today in 3 years, and then we've still got another 6.5 years to go, right? So imagine if we continue this and not really just step off it and within the 3 years, we've had some good conversations with people that could take it a bit further.
Yeah.
But you go, imagine 6.5 years, if we keep pursuing this, keep building that brand, it's going to happen. And obviously you want to monetize it in a way where it's self-sufficient, but also contributes to our by 2030, because that's
right.
The end goal too. It's not everyone else is on this project piece too as well. So I think once we're done with this package, we then go and chat to the guys that we've spoken to before, and see what it is and see what the input looks like from a whole package perspective. I mean, take their guidance, because they know what to do with it. And then we take on the next 2 to 3 year horizon and see what that looks like. Which means if we got to go play cricket again,
I don't mind about not playing cricket, bro. It's a cricket trip I really want.
That's what it is, man.
Hey, we were going to do a good news story.
Yeah.
But I just realised it's probably not PC. That's all right. Tell us about... It's a good news story I had. We'll probably rake the emotion out of it. That game we played in Fiji against Mode, it was a bad news story for us. But I think it's a good news story for them. Take us through that. So it was a morning, 8:30 game.
Okay.
The night before.
A few things leading up to it. So obviously I was a bit responsible for making sure everyone was at the games, because
you were captain, you were leading the side.
Well,
that's also taking the team to your
also
country.
We were staying where we are, and then I had to make sure we had all the drivers there going through, get the game on time. And I remember going to my uncle's place as well to be like, okay, well, we'll just call us over to have a bit of a barbecue, a few drinks. Look, it's only a few drinks. We'll do that. We'll get a big game. Obviously things escalated in that situation, so there ended up being fireworks the night before and a few cases of beer, and I'm sitting there going, man, we got to leave here at like 7 a.m, get to the game. We got 2 cars, van full of people, make sure everyone's got the uniforms packed. I remember that morning I woke up as well, I went to the reception, got everyone to keep calling housekeeping. I'm like, just get them to call them all up, rounded everyone up, we're out the door, and we got to the ground just in time, and everyone knew our car by then because we're the international team. It was a big red van. So they see us rocket up, and everyone's just scrambling out of the van, and they have to run to the toss. And the guy looks around and just sees like about 4 or 5 people coming out, and he's like, well, we'll have a bat. I'm just sitting there going, man, I don't have a team to field right now. And I'm going, where are we sitting here? It was day 2. It was a key game too, because this team is defending champions. They're really well known. And we did, we obviously got a team ready to go and everything like that. We tried to delay at the start a little bit here and there, and we got in, and we actually rolled in for 63, if I remember. And it kind of did a bit of an out, because the first day we had one game and we took it for we underestimated the team, and we lost that game. And the second game we came in, all right, cool. We put the defending champions out for 63, and then we're like, bang, we were on here. And I remember the crowd was all on their side, and they're getting quiet and stuff like that too, which is really good to take into the first time you're sitting there finally getting more than 20 people at a game, and being the one that they're not going for. It was really good. And then we went out there, and their fielding was next level. Their bowling was on point, and we just imploded because we just saw a small target. We tried to rush the game. Even I went in there too, and I was going, okay, you got to play the captain's lock, and I'm just like going, but I need to try to dig out of pressure a bit. And I just sliced it, and I got out. I'm like, this is just going to shambles. We had a situation we could have, and because we're going in newspapers and stuff too, we could have been like, I was sitting there thinking headlines. International team comes in and beats the defending champions and favourites, and we're sitting there going, oh, mate, bloody hell. And as I was walking off, it was also one of those things going, okay, I also stuffed up here. but you're sitting here, you're looking at this huge grandstand, and you're trying to absorb the moment in there too. Especially for me, like being in home country too. Again, this is actually amazing.
Yeah.
And the teams, like, and the crowd's cheering you off because you've just lost, like, you got out, and we're going, oh, I'm still absorbing. This is actually quite amazing.
Yeah.
And we had this one lady who was so passionate about her.
Yeah.
You know, she made the 8-hour trip from the islands to come out and support a team, and she's hanging off the side of the grandstand, singing to us. And I'm sitting there going, you can't be mad. You just, you're loving it.
Yeah.
And you can just see the passion in the game. And obviously we're in the losing stick there, going, bloody hell, like we could have done quite well here. But end of the day, you know, we won the next game. We missed out in the finals, and then we came back the next day. And it wasn't like we were the enemies, like we were there because people were passionate about their team.
Yeah.
And if you remember, the next day we walked in, and the same group of people who were cheering us off,
right, yeah.
they grabbed us, and we were
dancing with them, and
dancing at the grandstand, and they were loving and enjoying with us. They got the music going with us too. So it just kind of goes to show that's why I go, it's probably one of my best cricketing experiences, because you may not be the team that they wanted you to win, they wanted to win, but you were there and you were their guest, and they took you in, and we were having a great time. We even helped out with the finals, to do the scoreboards and everything like that. It was such a great experience. We tried to do it a few more times again. It was actually quite hard to get the group there again, but I think definitely on the cards. I would love to do it, even if we just did it like a tour match onto the outer islands.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be a great experience. And it'd be great to actually even take the series out to go beyond Park Cricket, go out to the outer islands that people don't know where they play cricket. You got islands that have 4 villages, probably upwards just over 1,000 or so people on the islands, but they've got 4 cricket teams and they play all year round.
That's right.
So it'd be amazing. How did you find it though? Like, what was your like, obviously
that was
your first time to Fiji?
Second time, but it was
You did the cruise first time, right?
Yeah. I think the most powerful part about it was, I think, just seeing emotions. Like, even the game we won, like players had tears in their eyes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's just something that I've never seen in the adult game, playing against adults. And like, it's powerful, right? Because these guys took the long trip to come here. They've invested so much of their time. Like, cricket equipment's expensive as well. So putting all that into there, and this is like their big kind of World Cup that they come in once a year to compete in. So seeing them lose that was, really cool to take that in. But also seeing them win and like celebrate and seeing how much it means to them. And then after, I think at the end of the tournament, we went to someone's house where they invited us to like this big ceremony. And
so they're more their team. They were housed in one of the villages there. So after the final, they invited us to be part of their ceremony to celebrate the tournament, but also they opened them up to celebrate their performance and all that stuff too.
That was awesome, just going in there and seeing them singing, and
very spiritual experience.
That's right. Sitting down with them, it was like, this is even beyond cricket now. This 100%. Is just like a whole big kind of family thing that these guys get to experience together.
And from like heckling us from 2 days ago to coming in and giving us the guest of honor approach and everything like that was very nice and surreal. And you go, man, you'd love to come back and do it again. And I remember that game you're talking about, like the last one where we ended up winning. There was one guy who was, if he stayed in, he would have won the game for him, and you ended up getting the wicket. You went typical Brett Lee chainsaw. As you said, the poor guy got on the boat for 8 hours, and you're here doing a chainsaw. But
I was like the guy in Lagan, one of the British guys in Lagan, celebrating.
I remember I walked up because that was the last game, and then we're like, what? I think he was definitely the key player. And I went to shake his hand, like, hey mate, well done. And I turned around, he actually had tears in his eyes walking back. I'm like, wow, it means a lot to him. So it was good. Definitely would have to do it again, probably before the bar 2030. Funnel a few of those funds. Don't tell Hubert.
No, definitely. Been a great episode, bro. First one in 3 years with you and me.
Just me and you, and live in person. Thanks for picking up my phone call, bro.
And if you want to see us live again, you'll find us in Bungalow 8 next Thursday.